Hey Squishies! Welcome back to another vlog. This is CatGhost, episodes 1 to 5 for Nick Borovic. CatGhost is a web series that Nick introduced me to by asking me to vlog it. I don't know anything about it, or the people who made it, or anything. It was really interesting. I know I've referenced this in my writing, probably in this vlogging, but there's a theory of humor I really like. There's a lot of, I won't quite say controversy, but there's a lot of different theories in psychology of how humor works. And I feel like the strongest one is what's called the benign violation theory. It posits that something is funny when first it's a violation, that is, it is a break in the expected patterns of what we see in the schema by which we organize our perceptions of the world. It violates expectations, it violates norms, it just goes against what you would think. And that's the first requirement. The second is that violation has to be benign. It has to be non-threatening to the individual who is responding to the humor, and it has to be non-threatening to anyone they care about. So one of the things I like about that theory is that it explains the strange relationship between humor and horror. There's a saying from, I think, W.C. Fields, that tragedy is when I cut my finger, comedy is when you crawl into an open sewer and die. That something becomes frightening when it, at least theoretically, poses a threat as well as being unexpected. If it doesn't pose a threat, it's funny. That explains why bad horror is so funny. Because we don't feel frightened, but there's still the violation of norms going on, and so that becomes humor. On top of that, there's an expectation that horror will be frightening. So the fact that it's not is another benign violation. And then you've got something like CatGhost, which is riding that border really closely. The first episode opens with something very familiar. It opens with a cartoon character sleeping while two other cartoon characters harass him. One on either side of him. One of them has a really high-pitched voice. It feels like a deliberate reference to the beginning of Charlie the Unicorn, which is, of course, a famous, I think pre-YouTube web video, comedic web video, that went with, the whole, dark humor, terrible things happening to cute creatures kind of a route. Which is clearly what's going on here with CatGhost. And the whole thing about them, encouraging to go on a journey to this magical land that they're clearly pranking him about, and him reluctantly going on with it. Again, that's all very much Charlie the Unicorn. But then it goes, with the video game, it goes into something that's more overtly horror, but it's 8-bit, so it's a little bit at a remove. So it's not quite malign enough to cross over into being truly horrific, but it's enough to make laughing really uncomfortable. And that creates this ambivalence, this tension that, at least through the 5 episodes I've seen, the series just rides. At times it's more toward the anti-humor side. The second episode, Knock, in which, you have to tell bad knock-knock jokes to get out of this room that you're sealed in, is sort of a weird, it's an anti-humor thing. It's funny because the jokes are bad. But then even it has at the end the widening mouth of the thing and the weird staticky stuff, and it gets creepy. Others are more overtly horrific, like third episode, which involves this mirror that has this creepy ghost girl in it that scares even the scary CatGhost, who is adorable but is also capable of going, as we see in that episode, into a reasonably scary mode. And that actually is, legit a little bit frightening. And again, with the next one, the Pac-Man ghost style one, whose name I don't think I know. The cat one is Elon. Gideon is the hedgehog. I don't know what the his name is. I don't think they've ever addressed it by name. The credits go by too fast for me to read it. I know it's the same actress as Elon, but not the name. Anyway, it gets possessed by some demonic force of snuggliness and smooching. But the weird, the spell that works to release it goes back into that weird video game and into something that is, creepy and mournful. And again, it never quite crosses into horror. It never quite completely hits on being funny. It just kind of rides in between. And the 5th episode really does that, because I am almost certain that the high-pitched "I am a banana" over and over again is a reference to Hertzfeld. What's Hertzfeld's first name? I can't remember his first name, but Hertzfeld's Rejected cartoons, which is one of the all-time great web videos. It's been around for years and years, and it's just really, really good. I find it unlikely that anybody who follows me hasn't seen it, but if you haven't, do so. It is probably the best example of that kind of 2000s random humor, executed by someone with actual artistry. And it had a huge influence on just kind of the internet's sense of humor in general. Don Hertzfeld. I think. Anyway, one of the segments has that line said in that voice, "Buy a banana." And so I'm pretty sure that's what's being referenced here, but here it's a lament. It's, why am I a banana? Rather than a declaration. It's an attempt to understand that is doomed to failure, much as I think any attempt to understand the outside images that get put into this show, the flicker of a staircase going down right at the end of the 4th episode, the bits of 8-bit stuff, like, I don't think those can be made sense of. I think those are genuinely random. They're there for emotional effect rather than trying to do coherent ideas. At least in the specifics. At the kind of broader level, the idea is being a little bit incoherent. Because that ties into that feeling of anxiety and uncomfortable humor. So, yeah. It's good stuff. And thank you, Nick, for having me watch it. I hope you commission the other 5 episodes I can see in that YouTube channel, because I would really enjoy that. I'm not entirely sure whether they're all CatGhost or not. There's 2 called Void, but they might be. Anyway, I think that's about it. Thank y'all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my Patreon for early access to vlogs, Let's Plays, essays, and more. And I'll see you all next time. Bye!